When people come to you, right, and they let's say in this example, how do you help them explore it? What do you find are the useful things that allow people to perhaps move beyond what we might call doing depression or doing anxiety into doing things that, although they might not solve the issue, allow it to be more productive? I don't know what the word would be there.
Yeah, I think you're asking me like what techniques do I use?
What's your thought process? Because really what I'm asking is let's say somebody is doing this on their own at home,
Hmm.
right? They've
Hmm.
gotten past the point of, okay, it's not an illness, so I don't need a pill to fix it. I can fix it. I have the ability to fix it, right? Uh,
Hmm.
where can they start? How can they start? Because the reason I'm asking you is they could come to you and you'll help them start, or they could try and do it on their own. But if we get to the theory behind it, maybe they can try some things first,
Well, we've been talking about the theory behind it.
right?
It's basically how humans react to emotional pain. That is what it comes down to. How do we react to emotional pain, both in thought and in behavior? So the emotions, we can't choose emotions. They happen based on what we perceive in the world. They're just connected. If
Mm,
we perceive a loss, we feel sadness. If we perceive a threat, we feel fear. They go together. So if we listen to the emotion, we have some idea of what's meaningfully going on right now. We can choose how to think about it, and we can choose how to act in response to it. Although it's incredibly difficult to do that. I mean, I use the smoking example a lot because it's a really simple thing,
mm-hmm,
a really relatively minor problem that is incredibly difficult to do. But we know how to do it. We know what to do in
mm,
response. I know how to say, smoking does increase my risk of heart disease. I know how to think that, right?
mm-hmm,
But I'd have to be willing to think that at the moment I light up. I know how to throw away a pack of cigarettes. I know how to not buy cigarettes. I know those things. I have to be willing to do those things. So it's not really, there's not really a technique. I mean, I find that a lot of times people come to us looking for some way around this reality, right?
mm-hmm.
Looking for some trick or it's like the diet industry, right? All diet industry products fail because they're avoiding the reality of lifelong eating habits. They're all temporarily oriented, really. I don't know of anyone that stays on any diet plan for the rest of their lives. I'm sure there's
Mm-hmm.
somebody, but I don't know many.
Mm-hmm.
It's because they never address this real problem with eating, and that is how do you use food? What do you use it for? How much do you eat? Why do you eat? Those kinds of things for the rest of your life, not so that I can fit into my bikini by summertime. That's
Mm.
typically how eating problems are looked at. It's a temporary thing. There's no way around that. There's no diet, there's no technique, there's no therapy that can help people avoid these really difficult dilemmas in life of what to do about this emotional pain, whether it's the realization of death or whether it's stopping smoking. There's no trick, right?
Right.
There's no like hypnotic kind of thing I can do to you to make it easier for you. And that's what many people, I think maybe most people are really looking for that.
Mm.
I want this to be easier. But what they find out, at least when they work with me, is it's harder.
Right.
Because I do emphasize this idea that the burden is on your shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
You have the ability. You have to think about your willingness to put up with and tolerate the consequences of doing certain things. And obviously, being with others does help. Learning about things does help. But it comes down, most of these problems comes down really to a decision or decisions that are very, very difficult to make.